सहनाववतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णुः गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुरेव परं ब्रह्मा तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः। तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः। ॐ पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। अनेजदेकं मनसोजवीयः। पेज 102। नैनद्देवा आप्नुवन् पूर्वमर्षत तद्धावतो अन्यान् अत्येति तिष्ठत तस्मिन्नपो मातरिश्वा दधाति। तदेजति 109। तदेजति तन्नैजति तद्दूरे तद्वन्तिके तदन्तरस्य सर्वस्य तदु सर्वस्यास्य बाह्यतः तदु सर्वस्यास्य बाह्यतः। तस्मिन्नपो मातरिश्वा ददाति। That jiva, that which that jiva is seeking, searching and attaining, procuring, all of these different sets of interactions that happens from each individual. When I say each individual, every format of expression of life. All of this is supported, permeated, and all of these interactions happen. The very happening is because it is supported by that one truth alone. A very powerful thing to contemplate upon, meditate upon. We do require a particular time, a particular place and a particular discipline to sit and contemplate. But having contemplated, where is the extension of this contemplation? Ours is not that kind of a philosophy wherein religion is separate and vyavahara is separate. Rajya, Rajyanga is separate, Dharma is separate. Even Rajya, Rajyanga and the Raja has to be established in Dharma. Rajya Dharma it is called. Dharmika Rajyanga it is called. The methods to run it. It is not in void. or exclusion of each other. So this understanding that which is said, that the jiva and the vyavahara with that which the jiva is trying to attain, apnoti, both of which are supported by, permeated by, inside outside, by that one truth alone. Meaning what? If I am seeing something other than that divine, that means I am way far away from this particular standpoint. Where? In my vyavahara. In my vyavahara, what do I see? I see that which is where I am established. This is the hardest principle to digest. When I see aberrations in the outside, that aberration is a amplification of something deep inside. I'll give you an example. When the father, after a whole day's work, comes back and the child, 3-4-year-old child, or even less than that, is sitting playing with toys and various things. When the father comes, he sees that the child is actually playing in his own filth. Supposing his past urine, and for that kid, it doesn't matter. He sees a puddle of water and he is playing with it. And as soon as he sees the father, runs to the father, starts crawling to the father. Father, immediately seeing, calls up the mother and says, "Idhar dekho zara, clean kar do." Because what did the father see? Okay, whenever I give an example, oh, fathers are not like that, Swamiji. Get out of your unnecessary loopholes that you are stuck in. What is being said is an example. Don't generalize it. Am I clear? Fathers are also responsible. Who said no? In this example. Okay. So the father says, "Sunti ho? Zara isko le jaake thoda clean kar dena." But from the mother's standpoint, she does recognize that there is that filth. But more than that, what does she recognize? Ayyo beta. That Vatsalya is more overpowering than any other observation. It doesn't mean that she has not observed it. Wherever we are seated, wherever we are rooted, wherever we are centered, it is from there that we function. Similarly here, from the highest standpoint, when this concept is understood, it is not that that individual who has understood and abides in this particular tattva, in this concept, in this idea, that suddenly becomes blinded to the reality and the pragmatism. वो अपनी ख्यालों में है, ख्याली पुलाव में है. No. Does recognize all aspects of it comprehensively, but functions from where they are rooted, where they are seated, because that is more subtle, that is more important. But what do we see? We not just see, but we brand, we isolate, and we ostracize the person, personality, the place and the experience through those different interactions. We have a judgmental issue. And the Vyavaharik smartness says the first impression is the best impression. Yeah, if you are in an interview or if you are meeting your beloved for the first time, first impression. But that is not a complete truth at all. Is that the complete truth? Is that my entirety of personality? Therefore, there is a dialogue of paschatapa after marriage. तुम पहले जैसे नहीं रहे. पहले मैं ये सब नहीं दिखाता था. When the job interview is done, the fellow is desperate to get a job. Will try to impress you with the best of the best of the best. But does it mean that it is only the best of the best that that individual has? So first impression is the best impression is a very mundane, vyavaharik principle. A comprehensive understanding is that it comes with a package, but what do I prioritize? Do I brand that person? Do I brand that place? Do I brand that environment and experience for eternity? ऐसा तो ऐसे ही है. All South Indians are like this. All Telugu people are like this. Don't we have that kind of a statements made? All worker classes are like this only. All blue collar jobs are like this only. Wherever we are seated, that is what we reflect out into the world. But the one who is seated in the deepest core, completely identified and abiding in it as my own true nature, sees the other aspects also. But in and through, they can transcend that which they are seeing, which are not great, but sees some value, a greater purpose. It's not just benefit of doubt. It is a firm understanding that there is divine reflecting through and through every aspect of this interaction. There was one Mahatma Ji in Vrindavan, Swami Akhandanand Ji Maharaj. So when he was approached by his students, that ऐसा करते हैं, वैसा करते हैं, ऐसे मेरे को छेड़ते हैं, वो करते हैं, ये करते हैं. Why is this whole world bent upon? He gave a very beautiful standpoint. He said, if you are sitting in a trash can, what will the people be throwing? And then he gives a particular line from a song. भजन है, अमर वह देशवा जहां से आयो. You are, I'm only stating it because my singing is not at all great. So I'm just stating the sentence. जहां से आयो, अमर वह देशवा. Are you seated there? Then these trivialities don't matter. When the elephant is walking on the Rajamarga, dogs will bark. But whether you have to pay attention to it or not, it's the royalness of the elephant that it doesn't care. So in Vyavahara it will be there. But in Vyavahara, where am I seated? Thereby I am viewing it, perceiving it, and experiencing it from that standpoint. That divine is pervading. Do we experience it? Sometimes. Sometimes, yes, we do experience it. There's a beautiful bird that comes and perches outside your window. Tatkalika. There's a nice sunrise or a sunset. You are just captured by it, you are in that stabdata. Because that which is Satya, that which is Shiva, that is Sundara also, and whenever you see that Sundarata expressed, you get connected to it. But does it mean that Satya and Shiva is not in the Shava? Is there as existential reality? It cannot continue in that phase, so we reduce it to the basic element, which is carbon, ash. That also is Shiva. Therefore, Shiva wears it on his forehead. हाँ, डायलॉग बोलते हैं कण कण में बसा राम. देखते हो क्या? अनुभव करते हो क्या? But because we get lost in the aberrations that we see of Nama Rupa. Nama Rupa Guna Karma, we get caught in that. But the perception should be so sharp, so sukshma, that we can get past all of this. So as a very simplistic sadhana, judge not anyone, any place, any environment. Put that judgmental quality aside. వీళ్ళింతే ఆ స్టేట్మెంట్ తొలగిపోవాలి. We are so ensnared in it. When I say again, I will repeat. You see the aberrations but not get caught by them. Otherwise, all the sadhana done, all the satsanga done, all the viveka gained is down the drain. What? As if I am the expression and embodiment of perfection. Do I not have aberrations? I am smeared in that filth. Then how dare I judge the world and brand them in that? Would you be liking to be branded? When people put you in a certain category, would you like that? Then how dare we do it to others? See, bhava is very sukshma. I am just trying to put it in that where we can start practicing that bhava. Judge not. Therefore, there is that famous statement, hate the sin, not the sinner. Censure the sin, but not the sinner. It is just at a lip level. Consolidating this thought in the next mantra, Tadejati tannaijati taddure tadvantike tadantarasya sarvasya tadu sarvasyasya bahyataha. It appears as though the last mantra is being repeated. But what is to be understood here is that it is drawing a conclusion. in the second sentence. So the first sentence seems to be repetitive. Tadejati tan naijati. This Atma Tattva, Chaitanya Tattva, seems like moving and yet is unmoving. When you go to the ocean, there are waves, there is a roaring sound, there are ripples, various format that it expresses in. When you look at it from the standpoint of the name and the form, there is definitely movement. It is as though when you go little farther away from the beach, you will see that the ocean is as though heaving, breathing as though. There is a movement. Where in the name, in the form, both in the individuality as well as in the collective expression, there seems to be a movement, certainly. But as water, has there been any change, any transformation or anything that has been morphed? In the wave it is water, in the ripple it is water, in the droplets that छलकता है ना कभी कभी, that is also water. In the ocean that seems to be heaving is also water. In that water, from the water standpoint, has it moved? Moved meaning, has it changed to be anything other than water? Tadejati, as different names and forms, there is movement, there is changes. But from the standpoint of its swadharma, there is absolutely no movement. Because these names and forms rise, are sustained or seen, and then it drops, done. They keep constantly morphing. But the water doesn't morph. It stays as is. From the Swarupa Lakshana of the water, even if that water is seen in a liquid form, in a solid form, in a gaseous form, its Swadharma doesn't change. What is its Swadharma? Sapidity. To wet surfaces. Ice wets. Water vapor also wets. Oh, that is because it is hot. No. Have you ever walked in the clouds? The first time I went to the Chardham Yatra from Gangotri to Gomukh. In those days there was no regulation, there was no... Then they became environmentally conscious. They stopped the number of people going there, trashing that place. Nothing of those regulations were there. So walking, suddenly there was a cloud that we had to cross. So as I crossed, I thought, Areva, it felt so refreshing walking through the cloud. After I passed through that cloud, I saw my sweater, my cap, my glove, my everything was like wet through and through. Even in that gaseous state, its nature of wetting things, sapidity, is not gone. That dharma lakshana always is. Tadejati, tannaijati. Tat dure, tadu antike. As far as the eye can see and beyond. पादो ओस्य विश्वा भूतानि त्रिपाद urdhvaudait purushaha. 1/4 of it is what we can perceive and experience. The 3/4 and beyond is permeated by this tattva alone. Where do I find it? You don't have to go anywhere else. It is right at the core of my own being. Tadu antike. Tadantarasya sarvasya tadu sarvasyasya bahyatah. It is permeating through and through as my own sense of being, antara. And it is permeating everywhere outside as well. If this abstractness is difficult to conceive, difficult to apply, let me put it in a different language. This entire creation is the expression of my own Ishtadevata. Meaning every aspect of this creation is an expression. That is why I worship a stone. That is why I worship a tree, a stump. I worship a river, a mountain. Everything is being worshipped from that standpoint. If everything is an expression of that Rama, me exchanging an experience with that Rama, is it bringing arama? Is there a virama to my aberrations and aberrative thinking? Because if I hate anything, dislike anything in this creation, who am I directly hating? Isn't that Ishtadevata that I am hating? Can I afford to hate my own Ishtadevata? Can I? So what should be the attitude? See, this whole perception I understood after reading In Search of God, a very beautiful book, a travelogue written by Swami Ramadas, or called Papa Ramdas, from Kanjangad. On their website, this book is freely available as a PDF if you ever want to study it. I would urge you to study it. He sees that every person that he is interacting with Rama, and he is that Rama's dasa. Courage chahiye. You require a lot of courage to live that kind of a life. A TT, he is going in a train. This I am talking of 1930s, 1930s, 1940s. A TT comes, and those who did not have ticket were removed from the train, left behind on the platform. He says, "ठीक है. Rama wants me to stay here. Ramadasa will stay here." And it was in the middle of the night. Wherever he found a little spot, he put his shawl and slept. And then it so happens that people have urinated somewhere there and it is smelling quite bad. Oh, this is what Rama wants me to understand. That which is filled with filth, why should I be so lusty about? And with this thought, he goes into sleep. The next day, there is a truck which is going, and he happened to cross, and this truck driver took this Rama or Ramadasa to the destination directly, which he would have gone in a train. He would have to do 6-7 different kinds of modes to reach there. This truck was going directly to that place. Oh, Rama blessed me to get off at the right place. Good happens, Rama's blessings. Bad happens, Rama's blessings. What kind of mental maturity should one have to have that kind of stability? The same tattva I am trying to interpret in the Bhakti Bhava. Andar Rama, Bahar Rama. We sing that song, right? And then it be convenient to teach to the kids. God is one, God is one, God is one for everyone. Rama here, Rama there, Rama, Rama everywhere. It's only a lip service and a drama happening. If that Ishtadeva himself has expressed into this creation in multiple various forms, not limiting himself to only one particular form, how should my attitude be towards that Rama? Whoever is that Ishtadevata? So imagine, right? If that Rama has given you a sign in your sleep, I am coming to you in this form, how eagerly you will be looking for that form. Upanishads have already said it, that every form is that Rama only. Why do we refuse? Wherever we are seated is what we end up seeing. We stay in that kutsita bhava, narrow, fragmented bhava, divisive bhava, and refuse to see that indivisible truth around. Tadantarasya sarvasya. And the magnanimity here. Magnanimity, or you can call it because it is the principle. Because somebody believes in this scripture or believes in this kind of siddhanta, therefore they are blessed with. Whether you believe it or not, this is the tattva. That it is what it is, that it is in, it is out, it is everywhere. Tadantarasya sarvasya tadu sarvasyasya bahyataha. Therefore, Sanatana Dharma is not, if I had to translate into English, is not a religion of faith. It is the dharma of understanding. Because it is a principle. These principles don't, they are not based on our faith. Whether you have faith in it, whether you don't have faith in it, it is what it is. So I don't believe in gravity. Whether you believe it or not, that is how it will work. I don't believe that electricity will shock. That is how it will work. I mean, if you have a question, please go touch. I can provide you live wires. Yes, maybe initially you can say you start with Shraddha. Shraddha is not again, the words in English don't give the entire meaning. All of you grown up, fire burns. Is it a statement of fact or is it a statement born out of faith? I know fire burns. Isn't it? Initially, growing up, when my parents used to tell me that don't play with fire, it will burn. That is born out of faith in their words. I believe fire burns. But that one sweet day when you had, from that day onwards, it is not that I believe fire burns. It becomes, I know fire burns. So this is the dharma of not believers. It is the dharma for the knowers. Tadantarasya sarvasya tadu sarvasyasya bahyataha. Continuing. Page number 112. Yastu sarvani bhutani atmanyevanupashyati sarvabhuteshu chatmanam न ततो विजुगुप्सते न ततो विजुगुप्सते. There is a पाठांतर. ततो न विजुगुप्सते न ततो विजुगुप्सते. पाठांतर. See, सर्वाणि bhutani, in and through every being, atmani eva anupashyati. Sarva bhuteshu cha atmanam pashyati. It's a logical expansion to the earlier thought. In our way of sadhana, except for the matter layers of annamaya, pranamaya, manomaya, vijnanamaya, anandamaya, these matter layers, wherein I have to consciously put the effort through viveka, vairagya, samadhi, shatta sampatti, and to grow out of, function through, and yet disidentifiedly function through. This is the initial few steps. But having reached on to the seat of meditation, nididhyasana, meaning these steps have been crossed, the experience that the Shruti Mata is pointing, the Rishis have pointed, is not that you now are trying to realize something which is uniquely you alone. For those that who cry saying, all religions look similar, it is only in those matter layer. That which is pointing at the end goal. Nothing this beautifully expansive, inclusive of everything and anything. whatever is that which you are connecting to as the core of your being alone is that which is expressing across. Yastu sarvani bhutani atmani eva pashyati. Sees the diversity in oneness, and the inverse sees the oneness in the diversity. When they say that this entire creation is just a mere projection, what do they mean? When you read Mandukya and other Karika, where they say that all of this is just a mere projection. This cannot be real if it were not a projection. As a projection, we say that yes, as a projection it exists. What do they actually mean? The diversity that you see is the very extension of the self. You see the self in them and them in the self. పక్షవాతాన్ని ఇంగ్లీష్లో ఏమంటారు? Paralysis. Thank you. So when there is some paralytic, you don't even need to go to paralysis. In the sleep, you slept in an awkward position that your own hand became numb. Out of discomfort you move, and that numb hand, because it is still connected, it is dragged and it falls heavily on your own chest. And when that heaviness falls on you, you suddenly wake up. Oh, there's something that was there almost pressing on my chest. And when you realize that you want to move but the hand is numb, you say, oh, that which I saw as something other than me, that otherness creates fear. But the moment you see it as your own extension, what happened to that fear? It doesn't exist anymore. Because it was born out of a wrong perception, a wrong understanding. Is as though I have become numb to this fact. Therefore I see multitude as something distinctly separate other than me. I can give various examples. One example, when we are here in Andhra, Telangana, all of us are Telugu speaking with different dialects and accents. But within that, there is a separation. Mem Telangana ollam. Memu Rayalaseema. Mem Costa Andhra. Even there is Tugo Pago. Turpu Godavari, Paschima Godavari. Because the accents change rapidly there. And you go via the Visakhapatnam, Srikakulam area, the accent is completely different. Therefore, in our conversations, mana valdu, apne log or wo log. Do we not function with that kind of a disparity? You go to some other country to live and work. There is no more such difference. Not even other country, other state. In that other state, you see another, in some shop or some restaurant that you are going and you hear some Telugu words. Telugu alla? మేము గోదావరి జిల్లా నుంచి అండి, నేను హైదరాబాద్కి వెళ్ళి వచ్చిన. This apparent dissimilarity suddenly vanishes. It doesn't matter. You're Telugu, right? Supposing you are in Punjab, Rajasthan, Haryana, somewhere, and you find another Telugu person. You don't even know that person, who that person is. Oh, we also live here. Acha, we also moved here. Immediately that connect happens. Because you are seeing that oneness. And that, then you immediately, if here you are saying, don't talk to strangers. There, you see that oneness and you are immediately exchanging your address, your phone numbers. We should meet again. You come to my house, I come to your house. Now supposing you go to another country. In another country, what happens? Now here, when you are there in this country, all South Indians are Madrasis. All North Indians are, we used to say Punjabis. And then you move to another country, somebody who looks like your features, your skin color. भैया भारत से हो, हम भी भारत से हैं. Cultural identity. And then you have exchange of notes because you have gone there new. These are the places where you have grocery stores. These are the places where you have temples. These are the places that you have this. These are the all the common things that you will be searching. I'll give you the entire data. There is no more Northern Indian, Southern Indian, East Indian, West Indian, nothing. India. I am also from India. Once I was supposed to come through the normal Europe or Middle East. Because of some kind of a confusion, the ticket got invalidated and I was immediately rerouted through California from Dallas. And it was the longest journey of my life. 58 hours to reach to India. So from Dallas to LA, LA to Osaka, Osaka to Bangkok, Bangkok to Malaysia, Malaysia to Bangalore. 58 hours solid for the same cost. So I said, I got more air time for the less cost. So I reached Bangkok at a very wee hours and I had about a layover of 8 hours. I had one bag, had one more set of clothes. So I put it under the head. At that time I could fit in between the chairs, there is armrest. Because there is no straight chair. So between the armrest, I squeezed myself so that I could get more space. Put that under the head and slept. Suddenly there was this murmuring, roaring sound. There were murmurs, they were not loud noises, but that murmuring itself was like a roaring sound. I woke up and I find sea of people. And this sea of people were shorter in height. The eyes were like slits. The color was different, their bhasha was different, their vesha was different. In that entire sea of people, I suddenly found myself as a complete misfit. Not just the color of the clothes. But then they were there at that gate because all of them were flying to Bengaluru. So somebody introduced and they said, we are working for this company there, but we get sent every 3 months. We stay in Hebbal. So when the commonality is seen, then the disparity starts reducing. Otherwise you feel alienated. You see the oneness, you grow. You see the differences, you are alienating yourself. Now supposing that which we see in Star Wars and Star Trek and such, where intergalactic travel. And you're in some different galaxy. There you find there can be other kinds of species also, more intelligent than us. When somebody asked Swamiji, are there aliens? I said yes, and I have a proof. They are not just aliens, they are more intelligent than us. I have a proof. They have never contacted us. That shows their intelligence. Supposing we go in an intergalactic travel and you are in some other galaxy and you come across white, black, brown, yellow, doesn't matter what skin color it is, looks like a human. You say, Earth? What are you seeing there? The oneness. Do we have to go to another galaxy to see oneness? Can't we see it right here? And this is talking about that indivisible truth from the highest standpoint, not just limiting itself to a human stature, but to every organism out there. Unicellular to multicellular. But that is a far, the Dilli bahut dur hai. If we can see that in and through everything that which I interact, again this makes it so colossal when somebody says the entire creation is nothing but yourself. Let's break it down. Whenever the scripture says it, how many environments and how many people do you interact with on a regular daily basis? 10, 15, 20 people? Right? Can you start with that? That is your prapancha. Nowhere else. When they say world, entire creation, your entire creation is those 10, 15 people. Can we start with that? Otherwise what happens? अगर सर्वभूतेषु आत्मानं न पश्यति जुगुप्सते. Jugupsa is like a deep rooted hatred. Different kinds of hatred. Different kinds of abnormalities that we live with. I used to have a friend in Hyderabad. So he would call the auto to travel. Auto! And when he comes, no, ja. Auto has come. मेरे को उसका चेहरा पसंद नहीं आया. I didn't like his face. That is how flippant we behave with the world. The clothing, the hairing, the hair, how it is maintained, class, no class, mass, no mass. We create those differences, separateness, born out of what? Lack of understanding, of course. But it immediately leads to what? A deep amount of dislike tending towards hatred. Hatred is a very, very powerful negative force. And that leads to hatred, hatred leads to jealousy, jealousy leads to unhealthy competition, competition leads to enakena prakarena. Either pull them down, oppress or snatch. Now wherever you look there is a strife. Isn't this what that is happening? And we are healthy contributors to this confusion. What is the solution? First and foremost, the most practical. You may not want something, you may not want to interact, but don't end up disliking and hating anything in this creation. I have lived with environments filled with snakes, but I am scared of them. When I say I am scared, I petrify. I am scared of them. How do I apply this Siddhanta? You don't have to hate them. You don't have to go hug them. दूर से नमस्कार करो, अपना काम करो. You don't have to create those abnormalities and aberrations within your own head and heart to despise. I hate, I despise, I dislike. And that is a very deep rooted. What I end up hurting, what I end up hating is eventually my own self. If there is a boyfriend who tells his girlfriend, don't sit on my right side, come to my left side. Why? Because when you sit on my right side and I look at you on the side profile, you look more attractive on the left side. वहीं पे निकाल के मारेगी. Either you like it as one package, otherwise anything that you said is like you don't deserve it. Now from that standpoint, do we deserve this beautiful creation? There's so much of abundance that has been given by that Ishvara. Where are we wasting our time? Constantly branding, looking down upon, despising, hating, disliking, feeling inferior, superior. With who? तेरे से अलग कोई और तत्व हो तो you can do that. So at least one sadhana that can be started. What is it? Just like in the earlier mantra I said, you should not judge anyone. Remove the word hatred or dislike from your vocabulary. That forces you to not hate, not dislike anything. You may change your vocabulary to I don't want, I don't need. But hatred and dislike, it occupies too much of space. And it drains too much of energy. If you do want to hate like Hiranyakashipu or Kamsa. Hate 100%. At least then you will have Bhagwan's darshan. हमारा क्या है कि that is also not a complete one. We are scared to hate completely. We can't afford it. It takes too much of energy, too much of drained energy. Remove it from your vocabulary. Because we are hating our own self. Tato na vijugupsate. And the one who is seated in the self, the one who sees himself or herself in the entire expansion and sees the expansion in one's own self. Compassion, empathy flows automatically in such individuals. It is not a ploy, it is not a plot, it is not a scheme. It is a natural disposition that compassion and empathy flows. Again, it is not like the empathy misplaced by Arjuna. Because we have a wrong understanding of empathy. Ayyo papam. I am not talking of trying to sympathize. Empathy is when you are uplifting the individual, uplifting the environment better than what it is right now. We get carried away with that empathy also, wrongly placed. Sarvabhuteshu chatmanam tato na vijugupsate. We will continue tomorrow. Om sarve bhavantu sukhinah, sarve santu niramayaha, sarve bhadrani pashyantu, ma kasyat dukkha bhag bhavet, asato ma satgamaya, tamaso ma jyotirgamaya, mrityorma amritangamaya. Om purnamadah purnamidam purnat purnamudachyate purnamadaya purnameva vasishyate. Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.